I spent 16 hours there. I used to wear a lot of blouses, so people just called me Blouse, and it just stuck. I liked sitting at home and writing. I actually hated going outside to play. I really hated it. I mean, I did it from time to time, but I remember my grandmother used to shout at me for not going outside to play with the other kids. And for me, it was just like, I just want to sit and write. And so that's what I used to write. I used to write poems. I had a recurring series that I used to write every afternoon. So like a story that continued, and I had like volumes and volumes of exercise books with this story. I don't even know where these exercise books are. I think my music, if you listen closely to it, it's very reflective. And I think it's a direct consequence of that. If you spend a lot of time on your own, there's a lot of reflection that goes on. So I think that's how that kind of isolation from childhood has sort of influenced how I even express myself. There's a lot of like, for instance, if you listen to No Match, it's a song about a relationship becoming dysfunctional. But instead of pointing a finger at the other person, I'm saying, listen, I'm also part of this dysfunction. So we're both to blame. It's a two-way street. So I think it's that reflection that comes from how I was as a child. Oh, I've never thought about that. For me, it's really just about expressing myself. And if someone finds healing or is entertained by it, so be it, you know. I always say, as an artist, once you put your work out there, it doesn't belong to you anymore. So it's not up to you to decide how people consume it or criticize it. Once it's out there, it's not yours. It belongs to the people now. But I think traveling itself is growth, you know. Learning to cope in an unfamiliar environment teaches you a lot about yourself. So there's that growth. I don't think it's growth that necessarily applies to writing specifically, but obviously if you grow as a person, it translates in how you view the world, in how you express yourself. So yeah, I don't think there's a direct influence. It's just like growth for me as a person. Sure. I went to a club and I spent 16 hours there. And there was a lot going on in that club space. And it was just beautiful. I really enjoyed it, you know. I didn't know there were people who spend entire weekends just dancing. It was last year. Yeah, I performed at Opi Kopi last year. And yeah, I was just excited to be there, and I got on stage. And that's one thing I must give South Africans. In a festival space, people come alive. And I love festivals because of that. And I got on the stage, and it was just 30 minutes of non-stop just performing. And people responding beautifully to the music. People still stop me on the streets to ask me about some of the tracks that I performed there that haven't been released. So for me, that says that, you know, I made an impression on people on that stage. But besides that, personally, I just enjoyed being on that stage. It was a lot of fun. So I think there's a difference in how people consume music. I was actually talking about this with a friend of mine. Like, for instance, I think Europeans are consumers of live music. But I don't know so much if they will go and stream or buy or whatever your music. But like the live circuit seems very much alive. And for instance, I think the US is a little bit of both. I think South Africans generally consume what is in the mainstream. But I won't lie to you, I think I do see that culture changing. Maybe it's a small community and hopefully it will grow. And I think the music festival culture in this country is growing as well. And I think that's going to change things, slowly but surely. But at the moment, I really think if you're not on radio, if you're not on television as an artist, South Africans really just don't respond. And especially if you're trying to do a different sound in the way that I am. At the same time, I won't lie. Like I said, it might be a small community, but I think things are changing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be working, and I am, Anyone who's part of any kind of minority, if you are black in the US, it could be anything. If you are part of any minority, your mere presence in spaces that are not traditionally open to you is activism in itself. So I don't think I need to be, militant about things, As far as expressing myself in my music, I express myself based on my experiences, and my experiences are queer. So that's going to come through in the music. Whether or not the listener notices it, it's there. I mean, I guess it changed the music. Like, I used to write a lot in English. And it was kind of like, okay, yeah, great, we've got this music. But I wasn't feeling it. Didn't feel authentic at all. And I started writing in vernacular. And funny enough, it felt authentic to me. But I also started to see a better reaction from other people. I think even when people don't understand the language that you are singing or rapping in, they can pick up authenticity. And I think moving from writing in English to writing in my mother tongue has added so much value to the output. I would probably get one of my tracks mixed and mastered. To be quite honest, that's one of the things that I really just don't think about. I honestly just don't. I'm happy with the people that I'm currently collaborating with. Not that I would say no to other people that want to collaborate. But for me, it's always more about do we connect as artists? So it would completely depend on how I connect with that artist. Firstly, as a person, secondly, as an artist, and thirdly, the music that we're trying to make.